What's up, gamers? Welcome back to another episode of the Meta Update. My name is, of course, Joshua Joshi Howard, and today we got a relatively short video, but we got a couple other things to talk about. So let's go ahead and get right into it. To start off with, it was another pretty bad weekend for the guard. 35.6% win rate by my count. I've seen some other numbers; they're all hovering around the 35 to 36%. It's not looking great. I only have one list to show you guys today. There were not a lot of teams events. There were a couple of large events, but we didn't have a lot of good results. I think one of the big things, of course, about this is, I was kind of like looking through the events to see if there were other names of people that I recognize who have historically been guard players. Like sometimes they're guard players, or like you know them as guard players, and there were more of them playing not guard than were actually playing guard this weekend. There were not a whole lot of recognizable names playing guard this weekend. So, if you're at an event, if you had a good time, if you were playing at a GT or whatever, I hope you're having a good time. Just remember, gamers, couple more days until the patch. So I only need to hold on for a little while longer. It has been not great so far. I do have a little bit more data to show you guys. I got one list, and then I'll have some thoughts about Tacoma and my games with demons. I will have a longer video on that later, but we'll get a couple, quick thoughts on that before I sign off here. So to start off, things are not looking real good here. In general, so on the left-hand side, we have all of their detachments by themselves. We have the dispositions by themselves, and then we have the combination of certain detachments on the right-hand side. One of the big things about this is player counts are down. There's not as many people playing guard, despite the fact that there was both Tacoma and some big event in the UK. It's not Birmingham. Was it Nottingham? Maybe it was Nottingham. Whichever like UK event that was happening this weekend was going on. They were just like not. We're still down considering how large these events are. 21 of the 50 guard players that played this weekend were at Tacoma. And that means that there's a lot of people who normally play guard who are either like not playing at events right now or are playing something else. So the numbers are lower, which means the sample sizes are smaller, which does mean that things are a little bit harder to use in general. A couple big standouts to point out, of course, is if you look at Siege, it is currently our highest win rate detachment, but you also have to remember that 5 of those wins are from Tucker Ricky. If you look at a similar thing with Recon, 5 of those wins are from Wesley St. Hines. So, those fall to like, I think it's like 35% and 20% respectively. If you remove those like 2 players. In general, though, things are looking not great. One of the big things that I do want to point out is we have been doing really badly with Purge. Guard is not a very good Purge army in general right now, and there's a couple of reasons for this. You can play it in like Hammer the Emperor and just like all tanks, and then you will have like a relatively low unit count, relatively durable units, and your opponent does have to like come out and fight you. But the big thing to note here is that Purge the Foe is significantly more popular than a lot of the other dispositions that are getting played. And when you're running around with like 10 Goobers or a Scout Sentinel or Krieg Engineers or Las Cannon teams or 5 Rough Riders, those are very easy to kill. And so means that it's very easy for your opponent to start getting those kill more. It's very easy for them to get their kill ones. It's not as this isn't as important in our other matchups, but when we'll take a look at the one player who had a good weekend this weekend. And we'll show you like how many times they played against Purge. You will also get to see like, oh, maybe if I'm going to be playing Purge, I need to have that one in mind. And we're not very good at that. Guard is never loved Purge the Foe. It can play it, but you have to play pretty significantly differently than how you've played a lot of the 10th edition missions. And now when people are building with Purge in mind, our armies like not super great at that. Other thing that's really interesting, the most common what do you got? The most common like detachment combination by a significant margin has been Steel Hammer plus Designation Force. This has been played in a mixture of Purge, the Foe, and Recon. So it's doing okay. It's got a 32% win rate. The two that are actually like doing quite well so far are like Hammer of the Emperor plus Designation, Siege plus Designation. Again, remember Siege, a big part of that is the fact that Tucker Rookie has 5 wins on that. So that is change, and with only 4 players, that is upping that quite a bit. So Hammer plus Designation has been like, if you are looking to be like your average player, this is what I would recommend before the patch comes. After the patch, who knows? But before the patch happens, Hammer plus Designation is probably the strongest thing that we can that our average player is going to be able to have like some reasonable success on. So I'd take a look at that. Consider playing it in the recon disposition. You can have a lot of success with that. You have enough units to go like do all the actions, and you have enough firepower and enough speed that if you need to go like table your opponent, it's something you can definitely do. So just kind of keep an eye out for that towards the next couple of weeks. Of course, again, patch is coming very soon. It has been This month has been very tough for us for the average player. It's been very bad for the average player, but we'll see what happens in a couple of days. Points are going to change. Rules are going to change. I have no idea what it looks like. So we'll see how that goes. We got one player this weekend. It was at the Tacoma Open. It's Anthony J. LaMonica, member of the Discord, and good guy. I talked to him a couple of times at the event. He was playing Grizzled Company and went 6-2. He had a Commissar with Ad Puma Tail attached to 6 Bulgrin. He had a solo Catachin command squad giving out orders, but also just a late game. It's cheap dudes, so you can like run them out into the open relatively later on in the game. You have God's Ghost, 2 Rogaldorn commanders, 2 Engine Seers, 1 unit of 10 Rough Riders, 2 units of 5 Rough Riders, 1 unit of 6 Bulgrin, 1 unit of 5 Engineers, 1 unit of Krieg Las Cannons, and a Rogaldorn Battle Tank. So this is a pretty beefy list altogether, right? You have the 3 Rogaldorns, and you have 12 Bulgrin, one of them with a Commissar attached. And then you have, what is that? 1, 2, 3 60-point units that can just like run out ahead. You have the Rough Riders, which are a bit of a rapid Ingress that your opponent does have to respect. Then you have some like Las Cannons, which are also there. The Las Cannons seem like a little out of place in this list, to be entirely honest. I probably would have subbed them out with another unit of Krieg Engineers, but it ends up working out fairly well. The big thing about this, of course, is it is playing priority assets. So priority assets cares a lot about the middle objective. Anthony was saying that he was using the Bulgrin quite a bit, just like be on the middle objective and say, hey, are you going to deal with this? Can you deal with this? If not, I will go ahead and do an action on the center. I will also, what do you call it? I will also just stand on the center if you don't stop me. And it's pretty difficult to kill 6 Bulgrin. Especially if you can give them 12-inch hidden and your opponent like has to come like right up to you. So they either force the issue really early or just stand in the middle. And then a lot of armies are just going to be like, I can't deal with that. In order to deal with it, they have to bring out a lot, and then you're getting into range of the other Bulgrin, you're getting into range of the Rogal Thorns, and you don't have to play your opponent's side of the board with the priority assets. You really just care about like kind of your home, but mostly the middle objective and sometimes your natural. And other than that, you're just kind of playing a very defensive game with this, and Anthony had some pretty good success with that overall. Um, yeah, I think this is interesting. Like if you're trying to find something that works, this is definitely something that can work. The big thing, of course, is you do have to recognize like you don't need to go take your opponent's home. You are just kind of racing to 100 points with this kind of list. Anthony ended up beating Black Templars in Take and Hold, Tau, Blood Angels, World Eaters, and Salamanders in Purge the Foe, losing to Purge the Foe Orcs, beating Priority Assets Imperial Knights, and then losing to Take and Hold Green Tide in the 7th round. So overall, good result here from Anthony. He was saying that every year he's gone to Tacoma, he's gotten one more win. So, next year that means a 7-1. Before I let you guys go, I am going to go ahead and transition to me for a little bit. I was also at Tacoma Open this weekend. I was playing Chaos Demons, and I do just want to say I found out in round 7 that I was making some pretty big rules errors in my games. More or less what happened is that I don't know why this like didn't click for me, but I knew that Bellicor could not use the scintillating stratagems, but it did not process to me that I could not use flux tokens and I could not. The most important one was I think I used Bellicor as like a puppet target like in one game. I think it was just one game. But the other thing that I know I did at least once was using the Feel No Pain aura from Improbable Shield, I think it's called, the enhancement on one of the birds. And I know it affected at least one game. So I went through, ended up talking to a lot of my opponents, and one, apologizing, and two, offering to concede. The opponents that I could find that I had, beaten said, no, 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 don't do that. It's fine. People make mistakes. my one opponent that I had done like the mortal wounds thing against was like, hey, instead of a concession, would you accept a draw? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. There were two opponents that I had who I could not find because I did end up dropping early. So if that is either of you, Andrew Burick or Vitus, let me know. I care way more about the interaction that I had and that you don't feel like I was cheating you. If you have even a little bit of qualms, go ahead and send me a DM. Probably on Discord is the best way to find me. And I will send an email to the judges and see if there's something we can do to fix it. Um, to go off of that, I am generally pretty. I, it's I have difficulty being nice to myself. Is probably the easiest way to put it. I was pretty beat up when I found out in round 7 that I had been making these, you know, reasonably large rules errors in my favor the entire event. Um, so I don't feel good about that. That's not what I want to be doing. I want to make sure that I can demonstrate to everyone that I am that I am playing my rules accurately to the best of my ability. And so making this error for 7 games, there are 6.5 games before it got caught, not something I'm happy about. So I do want to apologize again, not only to my opponents that I played this weekend, but also to you guys. It is I hold myself to a pretty high standard as someone who knows the rules, and yeah, I I made a big mistake this weekend. So you know, it sucks. I it sucks. I don't want to do that to anybody. I will have a video coming out sometime this week about Tacoma, probably. I have a lot going on this week and next week. I will be in Sydney next week. Not this week, but the week after. I will be in Sydney and then Perth for a couple days after. And then, I have a job interview on Wednesday, so wish me luck. If that goes well, I might be moving out of the Pacific Northwest soon. So I will keep you guys updated on that. For now, though, thank you guys so much. I hope this has been useful and interesting and entertaining and all that. And I'll see you guys all next time. Bye bye.